talked on the radio last night about how you learned a lot from yesterday's game. I guess what specifically can you guys take, and was that kind of part of the goal of playing that game?
It was. We knew it was going to be a challenging game, especially this early. We don't know our team well enough. Our team doesn't know us well enough. When I say well enough, to compete at a championship level right now. It's November, so our job as coaches is to figure out solutions for our problems. And some things we know, you just don't know the extent of it. You don't know how much you can be exposed in certain areas. We are disappointed that we weren't able to go get what we think would be a quad one win at the end of the year, just because of the respect we have for their staff and roster and program as a whole. They've been teetering on that tournament in IT for the last couple of years, and they should be in position to break through. So that's the reason we played the game. It's good for the brand. It's good for us to be exposed in some areas as long as we respond the right way, and it doesn't hurt our confidence. But I think we have a group that's confident by nature. So as long as we take the lessons the right way and we're not worried about protecting ego, then we'll be fine.
Charles?
Yeah, it seems like the offense has high potential, but 16 turnovers each of the first two games. How can you clean that up?
There's a few layers to that. First and foremost, we've got to get back to our identity, which is trying to create offense for each other. It's to do it as a group, as a unit, and trust that if it doesn't happen for me right now because of our unselfishness, because of our ability and skill level, then it'll happen for me. But right now, we tried to do it, last night I should say, we probably tried to do it a little bit too much individually. The most disappointing part was just the play after the play. We've spent so much time on our concepts, and it seemed like under those adverse conditions, we didn't do the things that we've practiced a lot, and that's on us as coaches, that it wasn't hammered home to an extent where we could do it in the most stressful situations.
You alluded to some of the things that you were trying to learn. I wonder, was one of them maybe sort of the balance of defensive rebounding and still getting into that push offense that you like? I mean, you felt like, I think they had 11 offensive rebounds and 12
Well, those are two different. We would sacrifice transition offense every day, twice on Sunday, to defensive rebound. That's been something that, with our size, we didn't think that this would be an issue. We didn't think we'd be a dominant defensive rebounding team for a number of reasons early in the year. But we didn't think that we would be giving up the amount of second shots that we have, especially on the possessions where our defense wasn't really broken down. When you're broken down and guards are in the paint, it usually puts a big against a guard in a rotational block out. You can expect to give up some of those. But the others where we're on balance, we're in position, and we just don't come up with them. Those are the ones we have to get. Especially the variance. These are one possession games, and they're going to be one possession games a lot this year. So you can't give them 3 or 4 opportunities in the last 2 minutes of a game.
So I guess, is this now like a slight concern that's cropped up, or you think that this is something that can get addressed?
Everything's a slight concern, at least. So yes, I mean, we've got to fix it, but once again, we're fortunate that we're being exposed in these areas now, because we have an opportunity to fix it. Obviously this is in basketball, we play so many games, and in football now it's not catastrophic to lose a game. But if we choose to respond the right way, then it'd be worth it. If we continue down the same path, then we'll learn the hard way.
When you have a guy like Vlad who has a size advantage on many occasions, to get him going, how much is it him pre-ball positioning, and how much of it is getting the table setter for him to get the ball in?
It's a combination of us being more intentional, the staff being more intentional to get him some touches, keep him in the flow, our players looking more for him when he's done the work. Some of it's been schemes. We tried to attack in different ways, and once we've lost our flow, then that hurts him the most because they're not broken down. And then the other thing is when he is in position, he's got to demand the basketball. So it's a combination. I'd put it at 33% on all 3 of us, and we all have to do a better job. Our perimeter guys have to be more aware when he has a matchup and look for him. And then even if you can't get it to him, it's usually because the defense had to overhelp or overcompensate, so then you play to the next thing. So he's an unselfish guy, but yes, all of us together have to do a better job of getting him some touches.
James?
Dustin, going back to the turnover, I guess, how much do you contribute that to the new guys learning to play with each other compared to unforced errors or guys just trying to do too much?
Our first couple years in Boca, we struggled turning the ball over, and so we kind of broke down turnovers. And is the system not right for our guys? Is it poor decision making, or is it poor skill? And we're still trying to figure out, right now, it's trying to do too much against a set defense. We knew Wake was gonna be in the gaps aggressive, and we thought we prepared well for what we're gonna see with off-ball movement and cutting and not trying to tack as much on the first side. But sometimes whenever the defense gets underneath you and speeds you up and you're not used to that type of intensity, sometimes you make poor decisions. And give Wake credit, they were aggressive. But once again, that's a different type of defense than we see in practice. You can talk about it, you can try to simulate it, but if you don't do it, it's something new. And I think those are more good learning lessons from this game.
Andrew?
Dusty, I feel like before the season you said there's going to be those tight games against good teams. It's kind of 50-50 where they're going to go. So you'd rather, build the lead early in the game. You had that 13-point lead. Do you feel like this was a game that could have been not as close as it was at the end, or was it inevitable?
Yeah, we thought we were playing really good basketball midway through the first half, and there was a stretch of maybe 10 possessions where we stayed on the first side and took tough, difficult shots on the first side. And it's not that those shots in a vacuum are the reason it happens, but then the other guys aren't as involved. You've kind of broke your chain. And so we've just, we've got to be more aware that everyone's got to be involved. Unless we're getting a great shot, we're getting to the rim, or we're getting a rhythm three, then we've got to keep everyone in the flow of the game, involved in the game, and that's a cumulative responsibility by all of us.
On your left with Craig.
Yeah, there's some commentary that the Golden Wolf combination isn't really plausible. I don't see that, but what are you seeing at this point?
It's a really small sample size because they haven't been in, I think, majority of both of their minutes, more than 50% of both their minutes, and I'd have to check the exact because some of it's exhibition games and scrimmages and whatnot, but they haven't been together that much. They've done some really good things together, and then they haven't been able to find the combination. I think early in the first half yesterday, we were in a really good offensive rhythm. We were flowing, and Danny came off in a 4-5 ball screen, which we tried to get some in that game, and he made the right decision. The pass was probably a little bit too fast for that moment. Vlad didn't catch it, but if you catch that pass, Roddy's got a dunk, and now you continue the momentum. So that's how it is early in the season. Wake had the same thing. They had 3 or 4 possessions where they could have gotten easy baskets, and they just overthrew the guy by an inch or two. And it's part of this new era where guys have to get used to playing with each other. But yeah, they've done some good things. Has it been seamless? Absolutely not. But it wouldn't be whether we were playing Cheddar at the 4 or Roddy Gill at the 4. There's going to be some things that guys have to figure out together. And that's the unique thing about this. Wake is an experienced team, so they're able to change their coverages based on is Golden in the game. They're going to switch 1 through 5. When he's out, it's 1 through 4, and then so there's all these different scenarios that we've got to be able to adapt on the fly in real time, and so that's why these games, I say it over and over, are extremely valuable. And if you have great character, then usually the teams that schedule like this early in the year are much better basketball teams in Big Ten play, January, February. That's the hope, at least.
Dennis?
I missed if you talked about it. Was there condensation on the floor all game long, or was it just one spot, just one of those things?
We in warm-ups, our guys were talking about how the floor felt slick. I don't know. They had the same floor. Maybe it was just specific spots. I'm not really sure. It's definitely unfortunate because I thought both of those possessions we had advantages to get in the paint and make good decisions in the flow of the game. So that just chalk it up to bad fortune. I'm not sure.
Before those last couple sequences, you went to Golden, the back-to-back plays. Before that, the shots kind of dried up. You said the tough one-sided shots. Were you referring to the first half? Because you looked like you had a lot of good looks. They just weren't going down. What did you say about the quality of the shots there in the second half? I
thought we had, it's strange because I thought Sam Walters banged in a couple of really tough ones, and then I thought he was surprised he was open on 1 or 2 and didn't knock them down. I do think there were opportunities when we had those separating plays, those run plays where we probably had better looks than the shots we had that got us to that point. But that's, once again, that's basketball. Like sometimes you're so open, you're surprised you're open. Sometimes you miss it by a centimeter. I mean, we got to do a better job on the glass. We got to do a better job of limiting possessions because we can't hang our hat on whether those shots are going to go in. But we weren't disappointed in the quality of our shots. We were disappointed in the rhythm of the game.
Tony? Yeah. I wonder if you could talk about working Will into that rotation as you're trying to work the 4 and 5 together. It seemed like he didn't play as much. I saw a comment that I won't share what the comment was because it wasn't about you. It doesn't
No,
matter.
please, you can share the comment.
Well, it was that he got Jawand because the previous staff, he would be playing well and then didn't get, and then for some reason didn't play in the second half, I guess.
So you're implying he got dusty?
Maybe that's what they said. I guess.
No, he played well. The ball moved. Once again, when you have, I think we have 9 starters in my mind. I thought Ruben, foul trouble. I thought he played well, probably deserved more minutes, so he probably got dustied as well. I'm fine. I think Will deserve. Yes, to answer your question, Will deserved more minutes than he played last night.
Clayton? There was a video in the locker room from last week. The April habits is on the wall. I guess I can imagine what that is, but is that something you guys talk about, and what exactly is that for you guys?
It just means in October, September, November, whatever the case, you're practicing, and are you doing it with intention that these habits are going to be carried at a championship level until the last weekend of basketball? And for us to be playing as long as we possibly can, and every team has a different ceiling, we have no idea what our ceiling is right now. You have to develop championship level habits today, first place habits today, and first place habits tomorrow, because if you don't and you're trying to think about all these things, our working memory is just not big enough to process all the stuff that happens in this game. So we've got to have some things ingrained into us that we don't even have to think about, and we're just playing off instinct, and hopefully we're moving in that direction right now.
James?
Dusty, you guys have this home and home series with TCU. I guess, do you want to do more of these home and homes maybe in the future? I guess, why do you think those are kind of more or less common?
I think they're less common because, never mind, I'm not going to say why it's less common. Every situation's different. For us, I don't really care what my wiki record is, whatever. I have no idea how many games we've won, we've lost. I know that we lost our last game. And so these games are good for the game of basketball. They're good for our players. They're good for television. They're good for our universities. They bring attention and eyes. They're good for recruiting. And so why wouldn't we play them? And the NCAA tournament has proven that if you play as competitive a schedule as possible, they're going to give you the benefit of the doubt in a tie. And so all those things add up to it being wise for us to play as many games as we can like this. And, at the end of the year, I may be kicking myself, but right now, we think it's going to help us improve.
And when you guys are building a schedule, how do you weigh doing a neutral site series like with Wake Forest and then the home series?
There are some other factors that we won't discuss. Last night, yesterday, I keep saying last night, it felt like it was 7 p.m. or whatever the case, but yesterday, it felt like an NCAA tournament game. You're in a big arena with a different backdrop, and the lighting's different, and you're playing a really good team. And that was like a tournament game where you're at a venue where the other team brought a lot more fans than you. So it just had a different feel, a different type of energy. It's on national television. So all those things are great. Now next year they'll come to Detroit, and we'll have a chance to play in Little Caesars in Detroit in a different environment, different type of game. So it just made sense on a lot of fronts, and we want to play as many of these power level teams as we can, because it's a different game. The size and physicality challenges you.
Andrew?
Signing day is coming up. I know you can't talk about specific players, but is it your preference to build your roster primarily with high school prospects, even with the transfer portal and getting a seasoned college player if you want?
I'll just say it's very important. What's more important are the qualities and attributes of the guys that are playing at Michigan. If it's a great teammate who's unselfish and tough and skilled, that's a fifth-year senior, versus a freshman that is coming for his own personal ambition and things like that, then no, I'd rather have the fifth-year senior. But yes, the guys we're going to try to sign and identify, we would love to help them become the absolute best they can be, let them experience this university and take advantage of the network and the education they're going to receive here, and not just the degree, but the education, the day-to-day education that you can take advantage of at a place like Michigan.
Alejandro?
On that note, you've had some success on the recruiting trail. What are the sort of things that your staff is selling that are resonating with those prospects?
First of all, the staff does a great job of identifying what we feel like are the right guys. They're relationship builders. They're trying to find the best guys for us, and that's another great quality of our staff, that they're simply putting aside their own. You hear it all the time. I think we should go after that guy, and it's not the point man who's recruiting him. So, but it's the same thing. We're just trying to bring in guys that we think we can win championships with, and we'd love to be around every day and around families and represent this place. You know, we don't have a real complex formula. Yes, we want some skill, we want size, we want toughness, we want great people, but part of it is just connection. I mean, when you go out recruiting and you spend time, do you develop a connection in this world where it's a lot more transactional than it used to be? But once again, then that's on us to adjust and adapt. But no, we're simply just trying to find the best guys for us and for this place.
Got time for a couple more, Dennis?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask you about some of the situational stuff at the end when they were fouling you up two. What were you emphasizing to your players there? Were you trying to tell them to get up a shot there? And if the shoe was on the other foot, is that your philosophy too, fouling, whether there's 20, 10 seconds? How do you go about that?
I don't have a philosophy. It's been different every year based on how good of a rebounding team you have. We've worked on it a lot in practice, fouling up three. Right now, it is our philosophy. As far as that situation, I don't really want to say what the plan was, just because of future scouting, but they fouled us a little earlier, or in a different manner than we thought. And those are the things too where we actually we didn't mind them fouling, because we have two 7-footers, and we've had a lot of success in that situation in the past where getting it up on the rim in a particular way and then tipping it in with an opportunity to go overtime. So, you know, the foul or not the foul, I think is probably a little bit of an overblown conversation. I think the stats are almost exactly 50-50, despite what commentators and what your opinion is. And it changes based on your personnel and their personnel, but we felt like probably our best chance of winning versus shooting a tough 25 to 30-foot three would be to get fouled, make one, and have an opportunity to tip in the second one. The ball came off a little bit too fast, and we didn't have a chance to get to it in the paint.
James?
Going back to signing day, I mean, are you expecting all three guys that are committed to sign during this early period?
Am I allowed to comment on this, Tom?
No.
No. No comment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a number you're comfortable with in the 2025 class? Like, do you want to add more guys to this class?
We're still recruiting in 2025.
Anybody have anything else? Okay, Coach,
Thank
thank
you,
you so
guys.
much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.